My long-term relationship of 2 years just asked for space, saying she doesn't feel she took enough time to be single after getting divorced.
The following program contains scenes of
Space, saying she doesn't feel...
Viewer discretion is advised.
My long-term relationship of 2 years just asked for space, saying she doesn't feel she took enough time to be single after getting divorced. We started dating right after the both of us got divorced last time. She says she's feeling smothered and doesn't have the time to miss me since we see each other all the time. This is true and I've backed off some. Another man started texting her a few weeks ago and she told me when it started. It was just some casual stuff, eventually escalated to him asking her out. She declined, saying she was seeing someone, told me about it. Now I didn't handle it well and was upset, saying I didn't feel comfortable with him texting her and flirting with her when she was interested. Don't want her going to the movies with him. I was upset she even let it get that far. Maybe she was seeking validation. Should I have just held her and thanked her for how she handled telling him she was with me and I don't trust her, or what? Anyways, he persisted and asked her to go for a walk a week later, and she went with, told me about it later that night. Probably didn't handle it that well either, and I was upset about it. She says they're just friends and he's a nice guy and that men and women should be able to be friends and that's not romantically interested in him. She has a lot of work stresses and other financial stresses and want a chance to be independent. She says she's confused and feels numb. She says she has no interest in dating anybody else. She just wants to get some of her feelings back from me. I want to try and save the relationship. She keeps being sort of hot and cold, missing me, but then not wanting me and not receptive to advances, saying it doesn't feel right. It's been a couple weeks. When I push, it makes her feel frustrated and say I'm not respecting her. So how do I address this? Now, I get it. I'm a nice guy. I just figured this out. And probably why the ex-wife left is I let her walk all over me in retrospect. How much space do I give? And how do I do this? Do I just tell her if she wants to be in an LTR with me that going for walks is not acceptable? I think she'll balk at that. It just doesn't feel appropriate for me to do this, even though I've probably been wishy-washy about it or being upset about it in the past. Or do I just go no contact and see how it responds? Or maybe just tell her I don't care if she goes to walk with other men since I trust her and love her and I'm confident I can keep it platonic. And then I'll start doing me. I'm not interested in plates. I just feel wired to have and maintain an LTR. A couple of terms before we get started. The hamster is one of those things, and it's just the greatest example of girls who are led by her emotions. In this case, I guarantee when she's blowing hot and cold, she blows more hot when she's getting less markers of attraction to the other guy. In this case, and we all know for sure that space just means she wants to see if she has another branch to swing to. When the guy starts saying loving things, offering more comfort, she starts feeling hotter towards him and colder towards her long-term relationship. When he plays more aloof and she's not sure where they stand, she goes back to the comfort of him. Now, this is exactly what guys like Rollo mean when they talk about if a girl is into you, she doesn't send mixed messages. In this case, she most likely has a real fear of being alone, and depending on how likely she is to catch this new guy that she's got feelings for, is how likely she is to have warm feelings for her guy at home. Happy with 3 A's. Women aren't happy. And it's one of those things you just kind of have to understand. Probably both genders have this, but from this point of perspective, we're focused on the girls here because this is the stuff we're trying to deal with. Women aren't happy. They're never happy, and when they become happy, they change their expectations on what happiness even means. From an Evo Psych perspective, it makes sense. Girls who could have gotten better but settled for less most likely died off, and the ones that just kept shooting for the moon, encouraged their men to fight, encouraged genetic success, and then the cavemen end up making more cave babies, and now here we are where a girl is never happy. So just realize, if you make girls' happiness your goal in life, you're basically moving the goalposts and you're never ever going to find that sweet spot where she's happy and content with you. Women are not men. Men strive for contentment, women strive for more. It's just the way it is. The carousel. The fancy term that I'm sure you've heard 100,000 times from 50 different MGTOW channels and red-pilled content. All that means is that girls have different phases in their life. They have a phase where they want security, and they have a phase where they want excitement. In some cases, and this is usually why most divorces happen when the kids are about 5 years old, that's when having a man around is less essential and more nice to have. A lot of girls at that point realize that raising kids is not enough. It's a nice to have thing, and shared parenting strategies work only so far, but at some point she wants genuine desire, she wants excitement, she wants what you would call the alpha qualities. The carousel is pretty much a symbolism of that. Now, the other thing to keep in mind is a girl is as loyal as her options. The hotter and younger a girl is, the less likely she is to want to settle down and find some time with a good man. It's just the way it works. Same as anything. You can picture a guy who has tons of options with women is most likely not going to settle down either. The difference here is that women have an abundance that men will never understand. So when you're getting mixed message like this from a girl that has a lot of options, well, chances are it's because she just doesn't want to commit. My advice for this guy is simple. As soon as he heard the words, "I need space," it was already over. The writing was on the wall. Demoted a plate if you're lucky, and you can still get a couple more, smash sessions in there, but other than that, it's just gone. His talk about being only wired for long-term relationships means he's just generally validation seeking. Guys aren't wired for monogamy. We're just not. We're wired to go and grab anything that's got half a pulse, and even then, that's like negotiable. So what he's saying is he doesn't want to be alone. And in this case, it's like men raised as defective women. And this guy is pretty much acting like a defective woman. And at some level, I have a feeling she catches on to this. Now, maybe after that last divorce, she wanted some comfort to know she was still loved. But now that she's got that feeling out of her system, she desires the urge to move on. And in his case, I hate to say it, but my advice for him is just to accept what's already happened and stop looking for advice. This is done. And the longer you stay here, the worse it's going to get. This one matters for you and for every guy here because we all have our cost sunk fallacies. We're hardwired to believe that every time we're attached to something, we spend some time with something, we build an emotional connection with something, that it is going to be forever, and we want to hold on to it, want to keep it close to our hearts, and that's great. And this is probably the most Zen-like red-pilled thing you're going to ever hear. And this is going to be the most Zen-like red-pilled thing you're going to hear, but all things are temporary. All relationships are temporary, and longevity is not the metric you need to use for a quality relationship in a man's eyes. He had his 2 years. It was fun. He had so many nice guy behaviors. He needs to learn to shed those, but why this matters for you guys is we all do this to some extent. We all want to hold on to that girl and have that Disney fantasy to ourselves, and it just doesn't work that way. So if you get a clear head about you and you keep your eyes on these warning signs, it's very easy not to end up doing something stupid to screw up your life. Like I said, girls saying they need space, it's almost like a script they learn in little girls' school that they all bring to their adult lives. And the lucky thing for us is we have the internet, and after the 500th guy has talked about the conversation of needing space, you pretty much know how it goes from here. Alternatives for this, it could go anyway. To be fair, after a divorce, most guys I see just go out and they make up for lost time with as many girls as they can, and this guy really should have done that. Built himself up some abundance, had himself some experience when it came to women, had himself an understanding of what good and bad signs are, so that the point when he does settle down again, and most guys do, you're going to get this space conversation, or you may not, because you have the abundance that you're not acting needy and validation seeking. And that slight tinge of never quite having a guy 100% has a better chance of keeping a girl loyal, but it's no guarantee. So an alternative for this one, he gets all that stuff out of his system, maybe he finds a girl that's worth settling down with, and then if he ever gets that space conversation, he doesn't have to waste months and months of his life, because he understands at that point it was fun, it's time to move on. Thanks for being honest. I wish you luck with the good sir. And a lot of the time, these guys that end up taking guys' girlfriends away from them, they don't usually stick around. So in a couple weeks, she comes crawling back saying, "Oh, do you remember all those good times we have?" And then you got a new plate you can add to the rotation. "Yeah, I remember those good times before you ruined them," but don't say that. And that's another relationship breakdown for you guys. I hope you enjoyed this one. We will catch you on the next one. As always, don't forget, check the links in the description for the book files. and the Patreon community where we're dealing with this stuff in situ with guys, a nice, private, discreet community. Come on in, check it out. We don't charge till the end of the month, so it gives you a couple weeks for me to show you that it's worth your time to show up. On that note, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Cheers. Charles Bukowski. Jordan Peterson. Neil Strauss. I like these guys. Add some salt to cover up the bitterness of middle-aged soccer moms and put in the oven for 45 minutes.